Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
That's a little bit better. All right. So welcome to Freedom Hill. I'm Bill Bowie. I've got the honor and privilege of being the chairman of the Fairfax County Park Authority Board, and it is my pleasure to join you for today's ceremony. I have been tasked with serving as our guide for several speakers and presenters today. And let me note that it is hot. So with that in mind, I really appreciate and thank you for coming out. And rest assured, we will move at a timely pace throughout this program. If you know the way I work, you know this will get done in a timely manner. There are refreshments available in the back, and I encourage you to get some cold water, considering the heat. President George Washington wrote, "Liberty, when it begins to take root, is a plant of rapid growth." Today, through these stories, we continue to plant the seeds of equity and justice. We must tell these stories to educate current and future generations. We must tell these stories to celebrate and understand the past. And we must tell these stories to remember the sacrifice and the hardships endured in the name of freedom and progress. Let me begin today by recognizing those who will participate in the program, beginning with Rose Padawan, director of the Padawan Intertribal Museum. We also want to welcome Hunter Mill District Supervisor Walter Alcorn. And then other notables joining us today include Edwin Anderson, who's the project leader. Edwin? Anderson, I'm sorry. Gloria Runyon. And Dee Dee Carter, both Carter family descendants. We've also got here Vice Chairman of the Park Authority, Ken Kenton from the Providence District. Amy Bosper, our Park Authority Deputy Director. Lynn Garvey Hodge, Springfield District History Commission. Barbara Neff from the History Commission from Hunter Mill District. Barbara. Chuck Anderson from the Vienna Town Council. Howard Springsteen from the Vienna Town Council. Ann Stunt from the Hunter Mill History Commission. And Dr. Liz Kroll, who's our Research Management Division archaeologist. Where's Liz? Dr. Kroll. And I hope I did not miss anybody. Okay. So welcome to all. I would like to ask Rose to come forward and perform the traditional land acknowledgement ceremony. She is an indigenous elder, wisdom keeper, and storyteller who hails from the nation's capital. Rose?
First of all, I'd like to say Wingapo, which means welcome, cherished friends in Algonquin, the original language of Fairfax County, Virginia, a land that my ancestors called Achan Alchemy, our country, giving thanks to the Creator for making everything in nature to support life. We're a God-centered people, and before we start our day or end our day, we pray to the Creator. And at this time, I'd like for you to join me in a short prayer. May the words of our mouths and the sincerity of our hearts be acceptable to you, O Lord, our Creator, the source of our strength and salvation. Amen. I'm very honored to be here today to give voice to Indigenous women who literally rocked the cradle of American history and made it possible for us all to survive and be here today. I know a lot of you have seen the plaque down near the Toddy Bowl building that the DAR put commemorating that so many feet from that plaque stood the first Fairfax County Courthouse, moved in 1752 due to Indian hostilities. My ancestor, Kadaya Powhatan, the firewoman warrior, was instrumental in the removal of the first Fairfax County Courthouse. She believed in justice and truth. And in the same spirit of justice and truth, we will be dedicating these signs here today to let everyone know that at one time, and today, we had a real American story going on here. We had a multiracial community of people who lived and worked together to make it possible for Fairfax County to be as prosperous and well respected as it is today. And I'm just very grateful that Edward Henderson contacted me based on knowing my cousin, Craig Herman, down at Highland Beach. And I got to see Miss Carol again, and I was introduced to Gloria and Dee Dee from the Carter family, the Hatton family. I have to say Hatton and Carter family because it was through the labor of a woman named Keziah Hatton that she was able to buy back some of the land that her ancestors owned originally. And too often, again, we have history, which is his story, not her story. So, as a woman, I'm proud to give voice to those silenced women that have worked so hard to make it possible for us to be here today. And in the same spirit, I would like to thank the Fairfax County Pet people for allowing us to tell an untold story. And if I could just leave you with one thing, you have to excuse me, I'm a God-centered person. I always remember, truth crushed to earth shall rise again. And really, this is part of that truth. So I'd like to thank all of you for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose, for those truly inspiring words. Today we are gathered at a Civil War redoubt, one of many small earthen batteries that were constructed around Washington, D.C. during the Civil War. 8 men at a time would be posted to Freedom Hill to patrol against the enemy and maintain the battle. There is no record of any major military action at Freedom Hill, and the diaries of the soldiers who served here said that they would often welcome hard labor just to fight the boredom of outpost life. While the soldiers battled their dreary routine, they may not have realized that the community around them was anything but routine for the era. The historic black community that surrounded Freedom Hill gave the people of the past and present a sense of place to cling to and to pass on to their heirs. This is just one story that we will hear today. Let me welcome our next speaker. He is a dear friend, a patriot. He sat beside me at the Park Authority in many, many Little League games and tournaments. He has served this community as a distinguished member of the Planning Commission and is now the supervisor of the Hunter Mill District. Please welcome Walter Alford.
All right, thank you very much, Phil. It's really an honor to be here today for this. I'm happy to represent the Board of Supervisors at this ceremony. We are really proud as a Board of Supervisors to acknowledge the ancestral lands and the native people who were here first, as well as honoring the lives of some ordinary citizens who live truly extraordinary lives. We honor all people today who have made their mark on this land as well as this community. History is more than just about battles and penalties. It's about people who experienced history firsthand. Filmmaker Ken Burns once said, "People tend to forget that the word history contains the word story." These new signs at Freedom Hill help us to broaden our understanding by exploring some of the individual and family stories we may not have heard in our history classes. As we have seen in the past few years, understanding true history, those facts as they really happened, is vital. An understanding of the successes and failures of the past is important if we are to grow and make progress going forward. If we do not learn from our past mistakes, if we are regrettably bound to repeat. And so real stories from real people and their ancestors are critical. President Abraham Lincoln noted eloquently, "Fellow citizens, we cannot escape history." So I'm going to go off script a little bit and thank Rose for her comments, her prayer. You know, before I got elected to the Board of Supervisors, my predecessor, somebody many of you know, Kathy Hedges. And I remember a conversation I had with Kathy about 3 years ago. And, you know, one of the things that was going on at the time was some revelations about our current governor and some things he had done in the past. Some of our other elected officials at the state level. And Kathy made a really interesting point. She said, you know, this really is an opportunity for us to have the conversations we need to have. For us to talk to each other about our own history, about the history of our community, and to really understand each other better, and to bring that to the fore. And I see this event here today and this unveiling as very much in line with that. So, anyway, I'll go back on script, but I wanted to note that this dedication is part of the Park Authority's Untold Stories Interpretive Project. It is a multi-year, multi-phase project that will involve dozens of parks across Fairfax County. The Board of Supervisors has committed itself to pursue racial and social equity in Fairfax County through the One Fairfax policy. And the Untold Stories Project is a great example of how the Park Authority is putting this policy to work. The goal of Untold Stories is to increase the representation of all peoples in the stories the Park Authority tells of both exploiting natural and cultural resources. Programs such as this make it very real and help people understand that the One Fairfax ethos is much more than just words. Okay, I'll just say one other thing off script. You know, you hear a lot these days about people expressing concerns about no longer glorifying, say, Confederate monuments and some of those Confederate generals and other folks. And some people see that as erasing of history. I couldn't disagree more. You know, it really is up to us today to decide who deserves to be glorified, what in our past deserves that recognition. And it really is a statement of what our feelings are today, what our ideals are today. And that's why it's so important that we do this. It's not erasing history, it's expanding history. It's expanding our understanding of the people, both male and female, who brought us to where we are today, who made us who we are today. So this is a very important thing to me. King Barnes also told us there are no ordinary lives. We at the Board of Supervisors welcome the Park Authority's goal of providing this point through its Untold Stories project. Thank you very much for joining us today and recognize these early citizens of our community who tested the bounds of equity in their lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. Today we unveil the signs that honor the lives of some of these community members, pioneers in their day for racial, social, and gender equity. We remember Keziah Carter, a Native American woman who purchased the freedom of her husband, a black man, from slavery. Keziah was a landowner at a time when women seldom owned property. She and her husband, Robert, went on to raise 10 children and be successful enough to provide an inheritance for them. We also honor Lucy Carter, who was born to a multiracial family. She was a free woman of color, but was required to always carry papers just to prove her status. She was also given special papers from the 16th Regiment of the New York Cavalry that gave her access to the front lines during the Civil War. The papers were like those given to Harriet Tubman, and historians believe that they indicate that Lucy served the Union at the spot. And we will hear stories today from the descendants of the Carter family. Let's hear next from leader Edwin Henderson, who got us to this point today. Edwin has worked with the members of the community as well as our park staff to coordinate these signs and today's program. Edwin?
Good morning, afternoon, should I say. Anyone that knows me knows that, I'm the founder of the Kennehill Heritage Foundation, and I have a very, very habit of unearthing forgotten, unknown, and marginalized histories here in Fairfax County. I was looking for the VAR sign one day in front of the toilet bowl building. I shouldn't call it that, sorry. Which recognizes, the displacement of Fairfax County's first courthouse by the Keziah Carter. And I stumbled across the park, and I noticed two things. Number one, that it was not very well maintained at the time. And number two, I stumbled across that little voice box right there. And I pressed on it, and it said that even though it was about the Freedom Hill readout, there was one line that said there was an early African-American settlement on this spot. That piqued my interest. And so I went to visit Liz Kroll to look at the land map of who owned this property around 1880. I also went to the courthouse to find the deed for Keziah Carter from 1840. And, but I knew I couldn't do this by myself. I started out by, I sent an email to the Park Authority. And the first time that was ignored, so the second week, I sent them another email. And I mentioned how it was in need of maintenance. And the response was, well, you can volunteer for maintaining yourself. And I just accepted that. And so I started emailing saying that was unacceptable. I sent it to all of the Park Authority board members. And after about 5 more weeks of sending an email every week, I got a response from Amy Boston saying, would you like to meet us out there and talk about it? But then I also knew that I needed help too. So I started getting the families of the call. And Dee Carter. And then I was saying, well, there's more to the story than that. So, and I really wanted the opportunity to work with girls. And so I was so glad that we were able to bring her into the project. She had so much to it as well that it put into organization. And two other things I'd like to say. One is that whenever you see the word freedom, Lincoln, or these are giveaways that there was an African American connection there. Okay? And so I kind of knew that there was something that we could do here. And the other thing I'd like to say is no one appreciates freedom more than those who were denied their freedom. Let me say that again. No one appreciates their freedom more than a population of people who at one time were not free. And that's why I do what I do. Our stories, my story, her story, history, they're all a part of the story of America. And we need to, as the chairman said, we need to expand here our history. Not reduce it, not hide it. And that's what we're doing here today is all about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. It is all about telling the entire story and telling the complete history. Now let me welcome two Carter family descendants, Gloria Runyon and Dee Dee Carter. Lady, the microphone is yours.
Well, my cousin, so many of you did it. So thank you so much, and I do thank Ed. If it wasn't for Ed, as you know, we wouldn't be doing this. And enjoyed working together. I think we began this in 2019. We were able to meet face to face and working together. It was amazing. Taught us so much about who we are. And doing this research, we discovered that we are everywhere in America. We're in my home. All over the area. And that's what you see. The Carter family, the Patton family has gone. And we thank you for that. And as I said, we started this project with the help of the conference board. We've been back and forth, there was discussion, there was argument about the true and not true of what the project was. And because of that, he did call me and say, well, Sylvia Taylor and I redo a project in Vienna on the African American History Trail. And so Ed went to follow up on that. So we did, we took it out. And instead of people, I had no idea it was in my family. I'm ashamed to find that out. We went to cemeteries, particularly our sons and daughters, and we saw the Peyton Mills. Did you know he was in our family? John Mills. I have no idea. And I saw a picture of my great-uncle, Doug, standing beside Peyton Mills' tombstone and saying, this is my great-grandfather. I didn't know that. So I found a lot about family history by doing this project. It's been wonderful. I thank Tammy for hanging in with us. It's been great. And thank you very much. Thank you, Kevin, for coming out. Monica, Ed, and Joe. I've been doing a lot of hard work. I've also been doing a lot of hard work on the Carter genealogy, and it's very extensive. Keziah Hatton bought 50 acres in 1842. How do anyone know that a lady would buy so many acres in Fairfax County? she was the second lady that bought land in Fairfax. And she had, her husband, Robert Carter, was a dowry of George Washington estate. I don't know if anybody knew that, but during my research, his father's name was Jack, his mother's name was Mary, and they had 3 kids, and Robert was one of them. His wife was a dowry. She was not enslaved, she was a dowry, and his children were dowries. So Robert was loaned out to someone, and Josiah bought him so that he would not be a dowry any longer. In addition to that, she had 10 children. And I will give you the names of all the children that she had, and I'm sure some of you are part of them. She had Robert Jr., who also owned 10 acres of land. He bought from his mother. And he left this area in 1859 and bought 10 acres right now where Courthouse Road is sitting where 7 Day Adventist. And he had, as a matter of fact, Josiah died in 1866. She had Jenny Augustus, Robert Jr., Kenneth Dorsey, Millie Smith, Charity Dobson, George, Sally, John Baptist, William, and Robert Carter. And when she died, they sold the land. I'm not sure who they sold the land to, but most of the family is still here in the Fairfax County area. I'm sure there are people all across the country that are still related to the Carter family. We also have a Carter Facebook page called Connecting Carters to the DMV, McLean, Indiana. If you all are part of Facebook, I wish you all would sign up. Let us know who you are. Put anything out there that you would like to know about your family, anything that's happening, births, birthdays, graduation, anything. The other thing I would like for us to do, if you're interested, I can show you where the Carter Cemetery is located because it's not far from here. So if you know where Westbright Elementary School, it's down the street from there. That is the only property that is still left in the Carter family. And I would like for us to go down, take a look at it, and see what we could do as a family to get Fairfax County more involved to try to get this cemetery cleaned up. It has been a dumping ground for any and everyone. My understanding is that our great-great-grandfather Robert Carter and his wife Lucy Hatton, also he has children that are buried over there. His grandmother Sarah Kane is buried there. Bella Brent is, Carter Brent is buried over there, as well as probably some other family members. So I do appreciate you all coming out. It's been wonderful and it's been an exciting event. Hopefully we can take a picture of everyone that is here today and then post it out on Facebook. So thank you very much and thank everyone for participating.
Thank you very much. I can honestly say that outside of church today, this is the most black folks congregated in Fairfax County anywhere. And the most I've ever seen in one of our parks. So that is great. Thanks for letting me be a part of this. A couple of housekeeping items. There will be opportunities for family pictures after this. If you did not get a program, we've got a list over. You can give us your email. We will send you a program so you can print off as many as you want. But really, thank you very much. Thanks for sharing your stories with us. This is an area rich in history, and we at the Park Authority are certainly proud to preserve this land and the story of its people. So we're going to get you out of here. Thank you very much. I invite our speakers and others from the community to join us in the unveiling of the new sign. So thank you. Tell us where you want us,
I can move down if you want. No. if I...
Yeah, I think so. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. If she could screw over a little bit.
This one right here?
Come up with me. Are you wide enough? Yeah, should be.
All right.
We do have video going here, so
So yeah, we need... I think they're still there.
That's the man with the camera right here in front of me with the green. He will give us the signal and tell us when to do it.
Hold on.
who's going to say one, two,
Man right
Whoa,
there
whoa,
with
whoa,
the
whoa,
two
whoa, whoa.
cameras.
Okay, Dawn, you're going to make the call.
You guys want to be in the picture, you got to squeeze in on that side.
in.
Squeeze in.
Don, counter's done.
Yeah. Squeeze it, sir. If you want to be in the picture, squeeze in. Are you guys in or? Yeah, squeeze in.
All right, Don, whenever you're ready.
Okay, I got a... Sorry. Okay, I think I'm pretty good.
On the count of three, we're going to pull back.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Got it?
Got it.
Great. And now there's plenty of time for all the pictures you want to take.
Got it.